Alright, here at Lowe's, this is where it all starts if you want to start making your own door rounds. Grab a sheet of plywood. I like to use 3/4 inch, 4x8. It's right now it's $61 for a 4x8. I can get 8 18-inch rounds out of this, and then 2 14-inch rounds as well. So 10 rounds for 60 bucks. That's pretty decent. If you take it back to the cutting shop at Lowe's, they will cut them down into pieces for you. I cut this sheet in half, so it's 4 feet. We cut it into 2 feet and then have them do 20-inch stripes. So you end up with something that's 20 by 24, and trim off the excess, which we'll be doing later. So instead of making 10 of these, I'm going to use one of the smaller pieces of board to set up my jig, to cut all of these into circles. For that, you just need one of the 16-inch pieces that you'll get from the leftover plywood. You need to get a 1/2 inch wood square dowel and a 5/16 round dowel. Right? All these can be found at Lowe's. Super easy project. As a side note, obviously you can use whatever sort of material you prefer. Test out a bunch of different stuff. I've tried 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, different sorts of wood, and I just found that 3/4 inch birch works best for me. It feels like handmade. You know, it feels like it's not something I bought from the store and just slapped some stickers on. And you know, the birch, it takes paint and stain exceptionally well. But everybody has their own price and budget that they have, as well as you know, needs. So if you're more about pushing these out, you know, you may want to consider a 1/2 inch or even a 1/4 inch product. I would just say test everything and find what you like, what fits best for you. All right, so I made this jig to turn the square lumber that I purchased, right, like that, into circles like this on a table saw, which a lot of people think you can only cut straight lines on a table saw, but that is a myth. So what I did is I first cut my piece of scrap wood that I'm using to the same, so that it lines up with my table saw, right? I can slide it on through there with no issues. Then I measured from there every inch, and I marked a line at every inch. And it doesn't have to be fancy. As you can see, it's, you know, my drill press wouldn't reach certain spots, so I just made holes wherever. It just has to be, you know, at that inch line, right? It doesn't have to be in a straight directional line, but yeah, every inch, and then you want to multiply whatever inch you're at by 2. So, you know, if I put in a 5 inches, that's going to be a 10-inch circle that I can make. I'm making a 20-inch circle right now, so that was at 10 inches. And all I did is take a little wooden dowel, plug it in there, and then on my piece of wood on the back, found the center, drilled a little notch in there so that way the dowel fits into it. Put it in. You know, I made it like this, and then you just turn it, right? You want to cut off the big chunks first, and you know, as it gets smaller and smaller, less and less stuff you can do. Toward the end, you can just kind of spin your round until it's completely circular, I should say. This thing is pretty sweet, and it's not that hard to make. It's important to note also to wear a dust mask when you are cutting on the table saw if you're not in a very well ventilated area, and I suggest doing it even if you are. The dust particles that come off of the table saw, if they get in your lungs, can cause some serious issues. So always wear a dust mask when you are using a table saw. Making Christmas presents got my ass disgusting. All right, so I've stained the board to the color that I want it to be after sanding. Obviously, you have to sand, but yeah, stained it. And now I put painter's tape across the section that I'd like to put a different color across. I'm going to use some Mod Podge on the edges here, so that way nothing bleeds through and you get clean, crisp lines. One tip that I do as well, when you're doing the lines, go down against the tape, right? If you go up or you go to the side, it may allow some paint to get in there. But if you do it like this, there's nowhere for the paint to go except for right down to that line and across. Alright, so after you remove the tape, got some clean, crisp lines because we use some Mod Podge and painter's tape, right? Both of those steps are important if you want your lines to be ideal. Alright, now we have printed what we want our sign to say on our Cricut or Silhouette if that's what you have, and it'll come out like this. I always stick mine to a board. These things are sticky, and so you can peel up your labels. Oh, tough with one hand. Let's see. You get the idea. The top part comes off and the bottom stays. So we're going to fast forward a few seconds. So after you pull away the main vinyl that wasn't cut, this is kind of what you're left with. Then you take this little weeding tool and you just kind of go in, grab all the stuff that doesn't belong and put it to the side until you have the actual, all the letters made the way you want them. So after you've weeded out all the tiny pieces, you should have your final design. Then you're going to grab some transfer tape, and I'm going to try to show you the process of taking it from the vinyl backing to the transfer tape.